Hey, how are you doing today? My name is Brian Fan. Welcome back to Economics 101. Today, we're going to talk about classical schools and Kenshin schools. First of all, it's good to have a big picture of broad category of classical schools and Kenshin schools. We all know that economics starts with the great philosopher who is Adam Smith, published a seminal book called An Inquiry into the Nature and Causes of the Wealth of Nations that impact the society for centuries. Its big point is that the wealth of nations is their productive capacity. Moreover, classical schools have a popular assertion that markets regulate and adjust themselves and often have a tendency to move towards equilibrium through an invisible hand. Finally, they believe that private incentives are aligned with societal well-being maximization under certain competitive conditions. On the other hand, after the recession, many theories have been challenged. The most significant one formed Kenshin economics. The school also has a strong figure, John Maynard Keynes, who wrote the influential book The General Theory of Employment, Interest, and Money. It shifts its perspective angle from aggregate supply to aggregate demand. They also think there could be disequilibria and inefficient macroeconomic outcomes. After the original classical economics, neoclassical economics appears, which focuses on the determination of goods output and income distributions in markets from the perspective of supply and demand. The transition from classical economics to neoclassical economics is called the marginal revolution. This is when the think marginally concept began. Instead of focusing on the production of goods and services under classical economics, neoclassical economics concentrates on how individual players operate in an economy. Hence, it emphasizes the exchange of goods and services. Neo-Keynesian economics try to interpret and formalize Keynes' ideas in a standard, conventional manner. To do so, it synthesized with the neoclassical economic models, forming neoclassical synthesis, which served as a standard macroeconomic model in the developed countries during 1940 to 1970. And then, new classical economics conduct macroeconomic analysis fully on a neoclassical framework and emphasizes the significance of neoclassical macroeconomic foundation. Unlike original or neo-Keynesian economics provide ad hoc analysis and act micro foundation. Finally, the new Keynesians emerged because of the oil shock and stagflation in 1970s. They start using the tool of micro foundation to support their theories, such as nominal price rigidities and imperfect competition, to create new versions of macro models. They move on to merge with new classical economics to become new neoclassical syntheses, forming the mainstream macroeconomics. Before I talk about the impact caused by COVID-19, I'd like to point out a few characteristics of classical and Kenshin economics. Classical economics depends on the expectation of people, especially investors, making accurate predictions. And they also believe that in the long run, the economic trend is steady and the recession will get well through a V-shaped recovery. On the other hand, Keynesian schools take people's animal spirits into account, and they think collapses are always possible because the future is uncertain. When they happen, there is no automatic market mechanism to ensure a quick bounce back. We all know the COVID-19 pandemic is a surprising shock to the world. How the world reacts to the economic impact is very helpful for us to know which school plays a significant role in such a condition. Take European Union for example. EU accepted Friedman monetary doctrine that rule-governed market economies are naturally stable. However, after the severe slump brought by the pandemic, EU proposed a 750 European Recovery Fund. Although there are a lot of limitations, we can still find Keynesian's ideas even in classical rooted regions when emergency happens. We all know the COVID-19 pandemic is a surprising gift to the